Let's solve the equation using the quadratic formula. Okay, we need to, first of all, let's write out the quadratic formula. It says that z is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. Okay, so here we have this formula. We need to identify a, b, and c. Remember, a is the number attached to the squared term, so a is 16. B is attached to the single term, or the term with the variable with the exponent of 1, right? The middle term usually. And then C is the constant term, negative 1. Okay, so we're going to go and plug those three values in to our formula. So negative blank for B, plus or minus square root blank squared minus 4 blank blank all over 2 times blank. So that's negative b plus minus square root b squared minus 4 times a times c over 2 times a. Okay, well that's good. Negative 8 is, of course, just negative 8 plus minus square root 8 squared is 64. Negative 4 times 16 is going to be negative 64 times negative 1 is a positive 64. So it becomes plus 64. 2 times 16 is 32. Okay, good. Now, 64 plus 64 is 128. So this z is equal to negative 8 plus minus the square root of 128 over 32. Okay, well, we need to simplify that square root of 128. Okay, so I'll go ahead and find the prime factorization. 128 is 2 times 64, right? Because 64 plus 64, that's the same as 2 times 64. At least that's what I was thinking. 64 is 8 times 8. 8 is 4 times 2. 2 is a prime number. 4 is 2 times 2. Same thing here. 4 and 2, 2 and 2. Okay, looking for pairs of numbers here. Okay, so we have a pair of 2's here. We have a pair of 2's here. We have a pair of 2's, we can go right here. And we're left with a single square root, or a single 2 left inside the square root. Okay, so we have 2 times 2 times 2. That's 8 square root of 2. All right, so that's the same thing as the square root of 128, right? These two things are the same. 8, the square root of 2, is the simplified version of the square root of 128. Okay, so I'll rewrite z as negative 8 plus or minus 8 square root of 2 over 32. Okay, now we have to simplify this fraction. Okay, we're used to fractions that look like this, right? Negative 8 over 32, right? Well, we would look and see they're both divisible by 8, and we would simplify that to be 1/4, right? The same thing is true here. We're just going to look at all three of these, right? Ignore the square root. Okay, we're not worried about that. 8, 8, and 32. All three of those are divisible by 8. So I will divide those all by 8. Negative 8 divided by 8 is negative 1. Plus minus 8 divided by 8 is 1. That's 1 times the square root of 2. So you just put square root of 2. Just like you wouldn't put 1x, you would just put x. You put square root of 2 instead of 1 square root of 2. Okay, anyway, 32 divided by 8 is 4. So there's our answers. Negative 1 plus the square root of 2 over 4, and negative 1 minus the square root of 2 over 4. Both of our solutions are there. Okay, we'll go ahead and write them out separately. Negative 1 plus the square root of 2 over 4, and z equals negative 1 minus the square root of 2 over 4.